What's up, guys? Welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Raise podcast, our first ever podcast here at our new headquarters in North Brunswick, New Jersey. Real excited. We've been talking about doing this podcast for a while now, and here we are, episode number 1. We're going to be talking about everything revolved around Eat, Sleep, Race. We've been in this industry for over 20 years of racing, gone to a lot of events, met a lot of cool people behind the scenes, and now we're looking to take those conversations to our headquarters here in front of the camera on our podcast. A lot of cool conversations. We're going to be talking cars. We're going to be talking business. Or we're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. Maybe even some food since it's Eat, Sleep, Race. All right, so let's go around the table and introduce everybody. These are going to be the faces of the podcast. Myself, I'm Brian Iasara, the founder of Eat, Sleep, Race. Back in 2001, I created the original 3-box logo, and that has grown to become the brand that we are today. Started off with just stickers and t-shirts, and now we have a whole lot of everything. And I'm going to go ahead and start with Eric at the end of the table over there. Eric, you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, guys? My name's Eric. You can call me E. Basically, I run operations here over at Eat, Sleep, Race and keep these wheels going.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Frankie 5. Used to be a DJ, so that's why I call myself Frankie 5. Actually, call myself Frankie 5 after Vinny 10. For all you old school drag racers out there, you guys knew Vinny 10 had a Supra. I had a Supra back then, and my dream was to run in the 5s, and I'm actually still holding that up to be able to do that. I actually was talking to Krista Baldwin, and she actually said, hey, you could jump in my ride and go 5s if you wanted to. So hopefully you take me up on that again, because I want to actually go down the track in 5 seconds or less. But been doing this for a long time, and I'm one of the partners here at Eat Sleep Race, and hopefully we're gonna have a good conversations with this.
What's going on, guys? My name is Hugo. I don't have any cool nicknames. That's it. Basically, I just handle all the racer liaison, and that's it.
Hi, guys. My name's Nick, or Nav, depending on whatever you want to call me. The reason people call me that is because I run a media page called Nav Lifestyle Media. I specialize in automotive media production, and I'm part of the media team, or technically run the media team, here at Eat Sleep Race.
What's going on, guys? My name's Ricky Silva. Most of you guys know me as a racer. I have a sport front-wheel drive car, one of the import racers in the area. Also a business owner. I own a company called Pro Bearing that does ceramic bearings, and my day job, I work at CLM Motorsports, so that's where a lot of you guys may know me from. Been in the industry for a long time. I've known these guys for a very long time, and we're here to just have a little conversation today and talk about some of our experiences in the past.
Our first topic for the night is trade shows. I want everybody to go around the table and let's talk about what your favorite trade show is and one of your favorite reasons to go to that trade show. And let's start off with Eric.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
All right. So my favorite trade show is the Licensing Expo. You get to meet a lot of different people in that industry. If you're not familiar with it, licensing is pretty much involved in everything. There's IP, intellectual property that people own, and there's products and shows and all sorts of things that you can apply to that. Licensing Expo is where you go to learn about all of that. And for me personally, it's my favorite expo because I got to meet Miss Universe. So that's a big plus for me.
Wait, which Miss Universe?
Pia, Miss Universe,
Oh.
Miss Philippines. Y'all know about her.
The Filipino.
Like meet her to hang out with her?
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
I don't know who that is.
So she was Miss Philippines, and she went on to win, everything. And, she's pretty much my ex-girlfriend.
Your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
So you say you went there, you started dating her after you went to that trade show.
Oh, no, it was only at the trade show. I took 2 pictures. She remembered me.
Big question is, are you guys following each other on Instagram right now?
I don't
He
think
blocked her. He blocked
I
her.
don't-
She was acting all types of crazy, and he blocked her. He was like,
think she
nah, I
has
can't do
people
this
for
no
that.
more. Sorry.
I did see her tag him on a reel, though. I believe.
Oh, that was him? I thought it
Well,
was
you don't
Hugo.
want Eric's girl to find that out anyway. So
This is a long time ago. I haven't gone
Okay.
in a few years.
Francis,
I would say my favorite trade show ever since I got into this scene was SEMA, which is the Specialty Equipment Market Association, I believe. It's pretty much anything aftermarket, right? So car aftermarket parts, you can see your turbos, body kits, Back in the day, a lot of the tuner.
What's a body kit
What's a body
for
kit?
our young listeners?
Oh, do they still make body kits?
Wings West.
They
Wings
still
West.
make body kits.
Arabuni. Do you remember Arabuni?
Arabuni NYC.
You know what the kids know now
Shogun
these days
kits.
are Rocket Bunny.
Yes.
Rocket Bunny is one, but back in the day, Wings West, anything in the Nopi catalog. Who remembers Nopi?
I don't think a lot of people
I
remember.
have
that.
no idea
No.
what that is. You guys got a few years on me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
So Nopi is number one's parts international.
I never knew that.
Yeah, that's what it stands for. And the Myers brothers were the founders of that company, and they were basically, if you remember, Super Street magazine, right in the middle, you'd open up and there'd be like 4 pages of Nopi. So you'd see all the body kits, and everybody like, oh, I got to get that body kit. And actually, I was listening to a podcast with John Naderi, who was the Super Street editor. He's talking about J.C. Garcia with the Fields body kit. You guys remember the yellow EK hatch?
Yep.
Which is crazy just to know that like those were like the trendsetters back in the day. So SEMA is definitely my favorite show.
Did you say what your favorite reason why to go that trade show is?
Oh no, I didn't.
oh, I thought that was a long explanation.
No,
All the parts.
I mean the models were like probably the number one reason. Like you'd be like there, oh, which model is this? Jerry Lee.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Throwbacks.
Jerry Lee.
So just keep in mind, if you're going for business, don't have Francis on your roster. 'Cause he's not going there to do any business.
I'm the entertainment guy.
Maybe a
you know?
different kind of business.
Hugo, what you got?
I think for me, I really have 2 trade shows that I'm very well into that I like to go into would be PRI, which is performance racing industry, and also the SHOT Show, which deals with firearms. Both of them are very similar as far as networking goes. You get to see new products. You also, the most important thing is, you see the people that you talk to on a.
Hugo, are there models at the SHOT Show?
No.
Oh man,
Not
I'm
too many.
definitely not going.
Friend's
there.
out. He's
I'm
not
out.
going.
Not too many.
He's out.
It's a
Not
bunch
too
of
many.
dudes with beards.
Yeah. Lots
And
of
flannel shirts.
lots of flannel shirts and khaki pants and steel toe boots there.
Cargo khakis, right?
Yeah, with a little splash of camo on it.
We're going to
But-
throw the light on Hugo right now. I said pick your favorite trade show. You just said, I want to name 2. You got to pick one. So which one is it?
I would have to say I probably like SHOT Show just because I like the guns.
So I'm going to go opposite there. My favorite trade show is PRI. We've been going and setting up there for 5 years now. And my favorite reason for going to that trade show is networking. We've met a lot of cool people, created a lot of new relationships, met a lot of new friends that started at PRI.
Who do we meet there? Willie, who was the first? person?
Honestly, I could go down the whole list. There'd be in
That'll take up
pages
the whole
of
hour.
names of.
Do
new
you remember
people.
the first person that you met that helped us grow as a business?
I can't.
I
To
think-
be honest with you,
That's a good question.
I think the first person that comes into my head is Asian Farm Truck.
yeah, from Street Outlaws. That's
Yep.
literally saw him walking down the aisle, and that's what you need to do at trade shows. You need to man up and just go up to random people and talk, because that's literally what happened at the trade show. We were just standing in our booth, and everyone was, when you see these guys from Street Outlaws for your first time and you're a fan of the show, you're like, oh shit, what's his name? And that's literally what happened. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go talk to this guy and just introduce myself. And we grew a business relationship with Asian and Farm Truck over the years. And
Shout out to Asian and Farm Truck.
Yeah.
They're down in Australia right now, I think.
Were you starstruck?
yeah, no, to be honest, I'm starstruck at every PRI I go to, because, seeing a lot of the people that I follow on social media, Instagram mostly, and just following them, becoming a fan on their social media, and then going to the trade show. Exactly what I say, networking. It's seeing these people in real life, and it's one thing just seeing them. A lot of people have autograph sessions, and it's another thing actually creating relationships, starting a conversation. But
Yeah, I think that's important, right? Like when you go to these trade shows, and I think we were talking this before we started the podcast, Ricky, was don't go there. If you're someone thinking you're going to get something out of it, like a sponsorship, right? Don't go in there thinking you're going to do that, because that's not the purpose, right?
So I'm actually going to save that for after we get around the
Yeah,
table.
I like to go on tangents.
I got a
so-
question here for everyone. You could think ahead of time. What is your top thing not to do at a trade show? So don't answer that right now. Let's get into Ricky's favorite trade show.
So I'm going to have to go with what Brian said. I'm going to have to say PRI as well. I haven't had the pleasure to go to SEMA yet. SEMA's actually always falls on a big race weekend for us, so it kind of, the racing trumps the trade show.
I think we
But-
need to put a request into Jason Miller and say, hey, can we do this in like late November?
That's never going to happen. 25, they got 25 years.
Hey, Jason, I want to go to SEMA, so can we do World Cup in
He's
late
like, how about
November?
you? How
So
about
they-
you don't?
They have 25 years on that same weekend, so I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's
But,
crazy. 25 years for World
yeah.
Cup.
Well, actually, yeah, I think this year might
Yeah.
have been 26.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, but yeah, PRI is a number one for me. I like PRI, from a racer standpoint. You get to go in a business standpoint, even you get to go around and put names to faces, meet people that you've probably talked to 100 times through email. Also seeing, some of the new cool products and cars on display, things you've either seen on TV or on the internet. The other thing is just kind of going back to what Brian was saying is you get to see a lot of these people that you've seen on the internet or on TV or, the street outlaw guys have been a big thing for the last couple of years. That's a big attraction there.
Minus
But
the models.
the one thing that I will say is, what Brian said is don't be scared to go up to these guys. At the end of the day, these guys or girls are all normal people just like us who are all just diehards in the industry, maybe doing it for a living, doing it for fun on a different level than what we might be doing. But at the end of the day, they're normal people just like us.
Whether
So
it's
when
a business owner or racer or anyone at a company that you're a fan of, right?
everybody.
Yeah,
you know.
don't be afraid to go up to anybody at that point.
Basically, at the end of the day, I would just say if you see somebody that, hey, you want to start a business relationship with, go up, introduce yourself, show some interest in their product or what they're doing, and go from there. Because you'll get to a point where a lot of times people will be like, oh man, like I've heard of you guys, or I've seen you before, what's going on, and then you build a relationship from there. So there's a lot of networking opportunities at trade shows like PRI and SEMA, and even SHOT Show, like Hugo said. So there's definitely some good opportunities.
Hey,
there.
Ricky, I'd like to get your perspective later around how to approach a business with, networking. And because, for example, we'll get a couple, we set up at PRI, we have our booth, and we have a lot of people come up and they just start shaking our hands. And obviously from a business perspective, we're cordial and we understand, we listen to hear. What is your approach to, meeting someone new? Like to, hear about that a little bit.
Okay. So the biggest thing with PRI and any trade show, these companies are there to try to generate sales. At the end of the day, it's about making money. They're there. A lot of these companies have these booths. They cost thousands of dollars. The last thing they want to hear about is that you need something for free. So I know that's the harsh reality of it, but unfortunately that's what it is. When you show up there, hey, show interest. Maybe if it is somebody that you've spoken to before, go say hello, introduce yourself, and just plant the seed. Plant the seed, and then now you got to water the seed. So every time you do meet them, you just open up the door. Hey, hello, how's it going? Show interest in what they're doing, and then just make the connection and then reach out later. So you'll get guys that'll come up and, hey, they hand you a phone book, which some guys might not know what that is, of all their achievements and accolades and what they can offer and do for these companies. These guys that are flying home don't want to carry home your phone book. They don't want to carry home sponsorship proposals and decks and stuff like that. So the biggest thing with trade shows is I would try to just use it as a networking opportunity to come in, say hello, introduce yourself, and then approach them afterwards. When they get back to the office, hey, met you at PRI, I'm such and such. If you're looking to get involved with whatever it is you're trying to do, open up the door and at least try to talk to them. A lot of times you'll notice that things don't happen overnight. So you might see, guys like Eat, Sleep, Race. They've been there a bunch of years now. When they first started off, they had a small booth. Now their booth's a lot bigger. They've grown. It's the same thing with racers and business relationships with these companies. It might take you 2 years of catering to a company before something actually happens. Sometimes you got to start off on a smaller scale with building the relationship. So don't be afraid to take baby steps to build something great, because that's usually how it works. A lot of people, this instant gratification world
Right.
now, they want to, hey, I'm such and such, give me $1 million. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And that's the one thing that a lot of people don't realize. You see a lot of young kids that are walking around, like a circle track guys. I'm just use them as an example, handing out,
Hero cards,
promotional materials. It's like a lot of times, I hate to say it,
Sponsorship decks.
Yes.
sponsorship decks, proposals. You shouldn't be giving proposals to a company that you don't know, because you're proposing to them that you don't know what they need.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we've gotten those, and we're like,
They end up in the garbage.
We understand. No, they're actually in that red drawer over there.
So a lot of I've learned this over the years. I've been going to a lot of trade shows, been in the industry on a lot of different levels over the years. And the one thing I have learned, and it's kind of unanimous across the industry, is a lot of times any of these materials that get handed out at shows don't end up making it back to the office.
Yeah, and just, exactly what you said. I think all of us here could reciprocate that and say from a business, make friends.
Yes, 100%.
I will back a friend more than a person saying, I could provide this for you.
Make a friend, make a sale. That's what they say.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I started off as going to trade shows as part of a race team. Got to see the business side of it a little bit at a younger age. Then, fast forward a couple years later, I started racing on my own. Then it's like, all right, let's try to chase a couple dollars here and there, because obviously at the end of the day, we all need money to go racing. So started doing it from that side of things. So, you learn things like Brian said. I was also the guy who went to these trade shows with proposals to hand out, and you quickly realize I'm not going to hand these out.
But you
So-
did have a good deck though.
I did have a good deck.
It was nice.
But I also was still learning at that phase. And then now going back as a more established racer and also a business owner, you kind of learn from both sides of it, where it's like you need to learn what these companies want. And that's what the trade shows are there for. At the end of the day, these companies want to make money. Everyone wants to make money.
Yep.
You want money to go racing. You want money to go promote your brand. So at the end of the day, you got to learn what these companies need, what they need you to provide. Like everyone thinks, oh, you just provide exposure. Exposure doesn't make dollars half the time. So you want to provide these companies what they're looking for. And then that's the only way you're going to know that is by getting to know these companies. Like these guys right here, I've known them for a very long time. Their wants and needs have changed over the years as their brand has grown. And it's the same thing with every company, especially in these day and age of the market changing so much and social media constantly changing. That's going to change these companies' wants and needs, and then that's where you need to step in and show them as a racer, a business partner, someone that's looking to become a dealer. Hey, you know what, this is what I can help do for you guys. And when you stand out and you're different than everyone else, they're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to go give this guy a shot and see what happens and go from there. And that's how you'll build up that rapport with them, eventually becoming, a dealer, a sponsored racer, just a business partner in general. You'd be surprised at how much happens at these trade shows from conversations like that. And sometimes those conversations don't happen at the trade show. Sometimes they happen after hours at the bar.
Let's
or
put that
out
on
to
pause,
dinner.
Ricky, and talk about that later. I know we went on a little bit of a tangent, but I do want to talk about the bar because you're right. That's where we do. But let's hear from Nick on his thoughts with trade shows.
Oh man, we got so far from that. I completely forgot.
I know.
Yeah, so my favorite trade show is SEMA. I've been to PRI also, but I like SEMA a little bit better just because of the diversity, right? So there's a full diversity in the automotive lifestyle, and I feel like the networking opportunities are a lot more diverse, and like I can meet people from different parts that aren't just from racing, especially as someone that wants to do media. I don't want to like pigeonhole myself into only meeting people that do racing. Like I want to do all different events, maybe drifting, maybe, do stuff like grid life, lifestyle, stance, whatever. So for me, I prefer SEMA.
So I got a question for the table right now. What is the one thing you would say not to do at a trade show?
So I'm gonna say, don't get drunk.
I beg to differ on that, but why do you say that?
Well, we've heard so many stories. I think all of us here has been to a couple PRIs more than once, and I think the biggest story is like, oh, did you see that guy got punched because he was pissed drunk outside of the club and he was drinking so much? I think, that definitely sets a bad expectation on that person.
I have to agree with him on that because the biggest thing is, remember, you're still there conducting business. So handle
Exactly.
yourself in a business-like matter. If you run into people, they want to buy you a drink, you want to buy them a drink, absolutely. But, know your limits and know when it's time to say, like, hey, it's I'm going to go home because I got to be up early
I think
tomorrow.
that brings us back, Ricky, to what we were talking about earlier. A lot of the networking at these trade shows doesn't happen during the show. It actually happens after hours because obviously after the trade show, you got to eat. So whatever restaurant you're going to, whatever bar you're going to, if it's in town, it's probably guaranteed someone from the industry is going to be in that same location you are. So kind of keep a reminder to yourself you're not there to party, you're there to make money.
You're there
Exactly
for
what Ricky
business.
said earlier. Yeah. So keep in mind, wherever you're going after the show, you're going to be running into people in the industry, which is also, I kind of beg to differ about getting drunk because a lot of people loosen up when they're drunk, right? So the goal here is to make friends, start new relationships. If you're a little bit more relaxed after you have a couple drinks in you, I think it's just
Yeah,
don't
but
get
that's
fall
not-
on your face drunk.
Right.
Like,
right.
yeah, don't make a
get white
fool.
girl wasted.
White girl wasted is a perfect example.
Don't get white girl wasted at trade shows.
Says the one with the Starbucks cup.
That's it.
And we all have red cups here.
They did not sponsor us for this.
Not
so-
sponsored by Starbucks.
But if you want to sponsor us, Starbucks, hit us up.
We'll send you an email.
Drinking, not a bad idea
No,
at trade
I mean-
shows. They actually offer free drinks at the trade show. A lot of booths will offer free beers.
The first night there, PRI does at
Welcome
the
thing.
Lucas Oil Stadium
Yeah.
a welcome
Open bar.
Bud
Yeah.
Lights all around. Everyone's drinking Bud Lights,
No Bud Heavies.
Bud Lights, and actually I remember we went. You could see Hugo. We all be lined up. We're hungry because that was actually the first day that you're just tired from setting up and getting it all ready, and we'll see everybody. You're like, oh, why is Eric, Hugo, and Francis over here again? They're hungry. They want the free food.
Trying to get that hors d'oeuvre.
So don't get white girl wasted. Top thing not to do at a trade show. I want to get back to Ricky's point. Another top thing not to do at a trade show. Don't ask for sponsorships directly at the trade show. Don't go up to a booth with a presentation deck and just be like, hey, who's the marketing guy here, and pass them over a marketing deck expecting anything. You're not going to get anything.
I think the most important thing for us, or for me actually, is don't be the guy coming up asking for free shit. Because at the end of the day, we are there to conduct business, and there's no business in free shit. So
Depends what type of free shit, because at the trade shows, a lot of booths,
They
they
actually
give out
give out a
free
bunch of free
shit.
Yeah.
I think what Hugo's trying to say is don't go up to the booth and say, I'm here to meet the person who could give me $100,000 for this year to fund my race, because it's
Like
not
free
gonna happen.
product, I think, is what Hugo is trying to say.
yeah, I mean, people are just always coming up
I mean-
asking, hey, what do I got to do to get a free T-shirt?
Yeah.
gotta buy it.
I mean, we do give free stickers, so
Yeah, it's
We
just
do
a
give
different
free-
level of
yeah.
free. But not to say that decks are not, useful, because I think down the line, once you create a friendship and get to that point of, hey, we want to sponsor you, a lot of these big companies, they require decks, especially when you're dealing with the big corporations. I mean, Eat, Sleep, Race, we're a small business, but when you're getting up there with companies that are publicly listed, these marketing guys require decks, but you're not even going to get to that point to present your deck
Not at
unless
the-
you have a friendship.
Not at the trade show. Like you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
you don't bring that to the trade show.
No, you'll need a deck down the line if you're, working with a big corporate
yeah.
company.
Once it gets serious, right?
You don't need to bring it to the trade show, though.
Once you get into the boardroom, at that point, you're past the decks. At that point, you're listening to these companies. You're trying to find out what it is they need, and then you're presenting them with whatever your solution is going to be for them. At the end of the day, there's whatever it is, hopefully is involving in getting them more money, getting them more impressions, getting more eyes on their brand, whatever it is that they may be looking for. But yeah, at the trade shows, you definitely want to just try to make the connection with whoever it is. A lot of times you'll go to these booths and there's just a bunch of sales guys working there. Even the big wigs might not be there because the big wigs have meetings scheduled, and usually by Friday afternoon, those guys are gone. So that's another thing, is on the first day is we try to conduct as much business as you can. That's a very important thing.
Hey, and congrats on that renewal for your sponsorship this year. You know, that's
Thank you.
that's a big one.
Who is that renewal from?
From McLeod Racing Clutches. We've been with them. This is going on our third year. Again, people think things happen overnight.
Did you give them a deck?
I actually did it. So I met the guy, one of the reps from McLeod. He used to come to some of our races. They were a vendor at a couple of the races we went to. And this was, Hugo can attest to it because Hugo helped put the introduction in place. And this was probably a good 2-year relationship in the making, just kind of building it up, talking with them, giving them some feedback on their products. Again, never asked for $1, just kind of, friends at the track. Hey, what's going on? What are you guys working on? Stuff like that. And then, believe it or not, it was during COVID. They were looking to shift from the drifting market that they were in more towards sport compact drag racing. And they were like, hey, send us over a proposal as to what it's going to take to get our name on your car. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, are you guys sure? It's like,
So
it's
you
2020.
You didn't ask for this. They came to you.
They came to us. They came to me saying, hey, listen, this is what we're looking to do. We've been following your stuff for a while. We want to maybe put something together, pitch us. So it was very weird because this was literally during May of 2020, where obviously COVID was going on. A lot of companies are backing out. Events are getting shut down. And it's like, all right, well, you sure? So it's like, hey, listen, like right now we're not racing. So this is what I could help you do on social media, product development, stuff like that. So we started working. And then it was like, all right, well, we're not really ready, but let's maybe do something for next year. Like, okay, so kind of, we went on, helped them out with a few things here and there. And then it turned into, when 2021 came around, it's like, all right, well, we're ready to make something happen. And we put something on paper and we went back and forth and came to an agreement. And this is going on our third year now. And we got them, they're helping develop some new products for them with some new companies they acquired. They just bought out a company called Powertrain Technologies, another clutch company. So McLeod has a big umbrella. Basically, they have like a parent company that it owns a bunch of different drivetrain companies. And at this point, we're helping doing product development on the powertrain technology side of like multi-plate clutches for, sport compact, even domestic stuff. But we'll be handling some the import drag racing clutch development for them.
That's awesome. Shout out to Krista Baldwin.
Yes, Krista, Bob, Will, Lisa,
Yeah.
the whole crew over there.
Paul
Been
Lee.
pretty great. Yeah, Paul's always on the run. He's got his own Nitro Funny Car
Oh,
team
that's
to
right.
run.
Lisa Kubo.
Yes, Lisa Kubo, another OG.
Oh.
And actually, believe it or not, the guy I've been working with directly on the development of these new clutches is Gary Kubo. He's also working over there.
Oh, Gary's
So,
there too.
Yeah, they got a nice little dream team going over there at that company.
Man, I tell you,
Lots of knowledge in that
Yes.
group.
Gary and Lisa are like on another level when it comes to working out.
Yes.
Holy cow! I've been
That's-
seeing their Instagram.
Yeah, they're hardcore. They're
Yeah,
definitely hardcore.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Talking about networking, outside of trade shows, events is a great opportunity to network. I'm talking about races, car shows, whatever you may be into. Anywhere where there is someone in the industry that you participate in. And let's talk about a big event coming up in Florida next weekend, World Series of Pro Mod, Drag Illustrated World Series of Pro Mod.
Shout out to Wes and Drag Illustrated team out there.
I know we're going to be there. We're going to have the Eat, Sleep, Race and Fast Kids Club pop-up shops. And big deal for us, we are also running the merchandise for World Series of Pro Mod. Shout out to Wes and Vic for asking us to make that happen with them. I know Ricky is going to be there racing in the X front-wheel drive class. Even though it is World Series of Pro Mod, they're going to have a bunch of different other, racing classes there. Do you know, like, the rundown of all the other classes they're going to have there?
Yeah, so the World Series of Pro Mod is a $100,000 to win invitational race that's focused around Pro Mod racing. So it's any big tire, rear-wheel drive car. There's a bunch of different combinations as far as power adders go. It's pretty much the fastest, what they consider door slammer class in the world. Then they are also going to have a Mountain Motor Pro Stock, which is a big cubic inch, naturally aspirated, similar style tube chassis car. They're also going to have factory stock Showdown or factory stock Shootout. I forget how they're calling it. But those are your like factory hot rod classes, mostly comprised of Mustangs, Camaros, and like Challenger, all like factory hot rods that you can buy from the dealer. They're all like high 7-second, 8-second cars.
Yep.
And then we're going to have the X Front Wheel Drive Challenge where we'll be competing. It's an invitational style event. Also, that's $20,000 to win. Same thing, front wheel drive, small tire limited, turbo limited class. And then there's also a couple other things. I think they have like a top dragster class for just kind of open running, and want to say some kind of sportsman index class, if I'm not mistaken. But that'll be held at Bradenton Motorsports Park in Florida, March 3rd through the 5th. So we'll probably be heading out.
Yeah,
in a
Ricky,
couple
next
days.
week, not today.
Next week.
So
Ricky
I
originally thought he couldn't be on the podcast today because he thought he was going to Florida.
I text Ricky, hey, what are you doing Friday? He's like, hopefully running sevens.
I thought
And then
you were
Hugo
talking
texts about next week.
I thought you were talking about next Friday.
No.
So $100,000, is one class going to get like $100,000 pot, or is it $100,000 divided by all classes? How's that work? That's a lot of money.
In the words of Wes Buck, who's the founder of Drag Illustrated that's putting on the race, he's writing one check. So you guys want to split it, divvy it up, that's on you. And he's like, they're cutting one check. So it's $100,000 to win to the winner.
For one specific class.
For Pro Mod. The Pro Mod class is $100,000 to the winner.
Wow.
The Sport X front wheel drive class is going to be $20,000 to the winner.
Wow.
Yeah, I
And
was
the other classes, I'm not
watching
sure
the
about the
podcast,
breakdown.
and he said there's going to be 6 winners in total out of that.
That's
There's
it.
going to be 200 racers
Yes.
and only 6 winners.
They're not playing games over there.
And how much total between these 6 winners do you think? Ricky's doing the math in his head
Probably
right now. 100 plus
probably-
20 plus.
Yeah, probably close to $200,000 total that they're handing out.
Sheesh, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cash money.
And you know what? You know, they're putting a lot of effort into making this a really good event. The one thing that Wes said, I was watching his podcast, was, you know, yes, the 6 winners are going to be the 6 winners, but what do you do with the other 200, the other 194 racers, right? Someone might not even qualify.
Yeah. So the cool format of that race is actually that it's a chip draw for every round. So pretty much they'll run I think we're getting 4 qualifiers. So after the 4 qualifiers for our class, they're going to take the top 16 cars. And then on Sunday, it's a chip draw every round. So you don't know who you're racing until you draw your number out of the bag. And the Pro Mod, they're actually doing a 32-car field. So I think they have about 60 cars entered total for that class. And it's going to be 32 to race.
So I want to know, are you there to break your record, or are you there to win?
I want the $20,000, buddy.
All
Let's
right.
get it.
Man, I had something like 30 minutes ago to add on to what Ricky said about marketing, but he was going, so I was like, what not to do at trade shows, right? So my first time at PRI, I went with you guys, but I had like no roles. I was in charge of the booth. We weren't doing media. I was literally just there to network. So I figured it'd be cool to go around and interview people on the marketing teams of like how to get my work in front of people. And they just gave me like an overall like how you can network with people, you know, in these industries and how to like get your face in front of the marketing team. Building off what Ricky said, they were saying that you need to have good relationships. You need to not be like, oh, this is what I'm trying to sell you. This is like what I can do for you. You just need to get them to know your name and then start figuring out what it is that these companies need, right? So like, Ricky, if you're running a suspension component for a company, they're not sponsoring you, but you're sending them media, you're giving them feedback on the products. They're going to be like, oh, Ricky is a racer. He goes out, he races, he's giving us feedback. That's stuff that they need. So they're going to look at you even more now as opposed to somebody that's just like, oh, send me a free part and then I can give you this feedback, because you're already a consumer for them. So that's something that companies are looking for. They want to build relationships. They don't want you to just be like, oh, give me your stuff and then like I'll do X, Y, and Z. They want you to already be doing it, and then they'll consider you for actually being on part of their team. Like I don't remember who you said earlier that reached out to you, but the same way they reached out to you, that's what they're going to end up doing.
So, touching on what you're saying about that, a lot of times these companies are more willing to work with somebody that's already an existing customer. Because if you're
100%.
you're out
100%.
buying their stuff, that means you believe in their product.
Right.
If you're just like, hey, you give this to me for free, I'm going to promote you, that doesn't mean much to them. Some companies, they take that, but that's kind of on face value. Like, you're not getting much out of that. But if you come to a company and you're like, hey, I really like your product, I've been buying it for years, is there anything you guys can help me with or anything I can help you with? And they're like, oh, you know what? This guy believes in our stuff. Sure, no problem. Let's do something with him. And going back to what Nick was saying about providing these companies media, that's the one thing that a lot of people that I hear from a lot of companies and even I deal with this in my own company, where a company will help a racer out or help whoever, and then they never hear from them again. Then all of a sudden, 8-9 months later, they pull up the same email that they asked them for something in 8 months ago and say, hey, by the way, I need this now. This company's like, oh man, I haven't heard from you since. Who are you? Or even there's times where you'll get these companies and it's like, oh, well, Brian doesn't work there anymore. So now you're talking to the new marketing guy. The biggest thing that people don't see, and it's something that involves work, is after your events, your races, your trade shows, you got to give these companies a, press
Sponsorship
release.
is a job on its own.
You got to put in the work.
It's a job.
It's one of those things where you got to send them emails and, hey,
Yeah.
here's
It's
how
about
I did this
communication.
weekend.
Communication at the end of the day.
And
It's
that's
just not getting free product
it isn't. There's a lot more
and
to it.
putting their name on your car.
That's the last thing they care about.
Right.
Is your name or a sticker on the car is the last thing half these companies care
Right.
about. What they want to know is like what Nick was saying, where send them media. Give them, nowadays everything's social media. These companies need content. So it's like, hey, win, lose, or draw, tell them how you did. Send them pictures. And then you'll hear after, a year or two of doing it, you might not get responses to half of these emails because these guys are busy. They have tons of racers.
You know what your best case scenario is in any networking opportunity? When you go up to someone, introduce yourself, and they say, I know who you are.
Big time.
And that is number one recommendation here is put in the work, get yourself out there. I hate to say this, but be the influencer online so that when you are meeting people, you've already made an impact for someone to say, I know who you are. Let me listen to what you have to say here. Because, like, relative to what Nick and Ricky were saying, I'm more prone to have a conversation, just in my shoes for Eat Sleep Race, for somebody who's bought my product, supports the brand, before someone who says, I'll wear your stuff if you do this for me. I'd rather go to somebody who comes up to me and be like, oh yeah, I've seen you on Instagram posting our stuff, tagging us on your page. Pretty cool to meet you. Rather than someone who shows up, hands a deck, hey, I'm this.
They've never heard of you before.
I see it this way, Brian. If you make an investment with us, we will make an investment with you, right?
And that's every company.
Support
right?
those who support you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's every company. And it's like Nick said,
Every industry.
everything in
Across
every
the board.
form of
Yeah.
business. And that's the thing. It's like just providing them with something, like not just, hey, you sent me a product 6 months ago. I need something else. Let them know how you're doing. Let them know what's going on. Show them what you're doing. Give them a proof of performance report, at the end of the year to show that, hey, these companies that I helped support and gave stuff to that helped me out, this is what I did for them. And then, you know what? At the end of the year, when you say, hey, how about can you help me with this now? They're going to be like, you know what? No problem, because you did a lot for us or you helped us. And hey, it doesn't always go that way, those conversations, but you got to put it out there to give them something to work with.
I'm actually going to bring up a testament. It's going to be funny if this guy's listening right here, but I've had a guy call me probably 3-4 times since PRI. And every time he calls, hey, this is blah, blah, blah. We met at PRI. I handed you my deck. Do you have a minute? I don't have a minute for you, bro. You had nothing else to me to say at PRI. Like, I don't even know where this guy got my phone number from, to be honest with you. But
I think on the internet.
I don't doubt. I don't doubt
Probably
he
public records.
Yeah, if you look me up hard enough, you could find my cell phone number on the internet. But that's kind of creepy. But he did go that far enough to find my personal cell phone number, and that's all he has to say when he calls me. And I got no time for you.
Yeah,
I think the biggest takeaway from all this, like everyone's consensus, is you really have to build in the work to build a relationship. If there's no relationship, if there's no friendship, like not much is gonna happen. You know, you're just another person.
Hugo, what's your advice to? This is friendship 101 right here. How do you create
in the trust tree.
Yeah.
How do you make
in
friends?
the industry? How do you create and start a friendship or relationship with a company that you want to do business with? I got my recommendation. What do you got?
I think the best way is really once you meet the person, you got to get to know them. It's like meeting a friend anywhere. You got to see what they like. You got to see, you know, what their interests are.
I'm going to
if it
take
shares
what
with
you're
you.
saying. I agree. I need to start my relationship to be able to start working with that company. So let's say it's Joe at XYZ company. I'm going to follow Joe on Instagram and get to know him on Instagram before I even meet him, right? So let's say Joe's into sneakers. I like sneakers, right? Boom, icebreakers. So when I meet Joe at the trade show, I'm going up to XYZ's booth. Hey, is Joe here? Joe's going to come up. Joe, yo, I saw on Instagram last week that you just copped the Jordan 11s that came out. Easy icebreaker right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the dude Joe's already going to be like, yeah, I did get those. You know about sneakers too. So we just created a mutual interest bond right there. And so now we're both interested in one thing. In your case, it would be guns, right? So you went up to Sam, and Sam, he just got the latest Glock. Yo, how'd you know I got that? Oh, I follow you on Instagram, bro. Like, I'm actually happy to meet you in person. And honestly, I would just walk away from there. I wouldn't even talk about business or what I have to offer from that because I got 3 more days left at that show. I'm bound to run into you at a restaurant, or I'm bound to come back to you 2 days later and exactly we're talking about friendships. Like, yo, what's up, Joe? Now Joe remembers who I am.
Plant the seed.
Talk about
Plant
leaving an
the seed.
impression.
right, because
Exactly.
the next time you see, be like, oh, this guy is cool. And then next thing you know, you'll be like, so what do you do?
Exactly. Joe's
Right?
going to ask what you do at that point.
And that's where you make your entrance.
And then you also show them that, you know what, these guys are normal people. You're a normal person. We're all kind of have mutual interests. You know, some people
Yeah.
might like, this guy likes to be a florist. This guy likes to shoot guns. Whatever it is. You
That's
know
a
what?
great point, because
be genuine also. That's
outside
a
of
big thing.
racing, as
that's a
much
big
as
key.
we all like cars and racing, I think Hugo is a testament to this. You know, everybody also likes something else. Other people like concerts. Other people like music.
Yeah.
Hugo clearly likes guns too. So,
Well,
little
Hugo
heads up, if
is-
you want to be Hugo's friend, you could talk about guns with him.
Hugo is head of racer relationships at Eat Sleep Race. So you make sure
You're gonna
you get to know Hugo. He
make
likes
sure you
guns.
know about guns if you're trying to be Hugo's friend.
Hey, Hugo, I like 9mm guns.
Don't be that guy though that tries to talk about guns with Hugo, not knowing about guns, because then you're probably gonna not even become Hugo's friend. Because when you walk away, he's like, that dude does not know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, don't bullshit.
Yeah,
People can
don't
sniff
bullshit.
out the bullshit
So-
really quick.
So Hugo, when we send you out, like, so Hugo is really in charge of our relationships with all our racers. When we send you out, you're going out to the events and stuff like that. What are you doing to maintain the relationship with our racers, our friends, racers and friends? And
First off, I always go towards the cars that I'm fans of and racers that I'm fans of, because, like we've been talking about, I kind of know them beyond the racing, so we can build that relationship up, and then obviously, you know, we can both offer different services for each other, whether it's, you know, clothing, accessories, merch. That is the business that I'm in. So
you've been invited to baptisms.
I've been invited to a lot of different functions, you know,
Yeah,
with
birthdays,
the racers,
right?
Birthdays. Like, these people become my friends in real life. So it's not like we know each other from social media and we just shout each other out. It's, you know, they really become friends and family, where we're involved in other, you know, outside activities from business that has nothing to do with racing.
I think, Hugo, you just went to step 2, right? And step 1 here is what I mentioned earlier. You got to put in the work on social media, 100% social media, if you want to create friendships, valuable relationships, because in today's day and age, magazines, TV, paid ads, like social media is where you become and stay relevant these days. So unfortunately, there's a lot of racers out there, fast cars, cool people who hate social media. And unfortunately, you have zero to offer for a potential sponsor.
Yeah, but because of social media, this gives everyone the opportunity to do this.
It equals a playing field.
Before,
You
had to know somebody. But now, if you put in the work, you can become somebody.
Yeah.
And you got to like social media because exactly what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys with fast cars, cool people who hate social media. What do you have to offer?
Well, that's a great so here's the thing, right? And Ricky, I know since you're part of CLM, there is, I'm not calling out CLM, but I'm just saying between the shops, right? Like I know there are like, oh, this shop doesn't fuck with this shop, and
Yeah, the one thing that kind of touching on what like Hugo was saying about just being genuine and creating the friendships and actually, giving a shit about what these people do. It also, you got to be careful. The industry is big, but it's still very small.
Yes.
Within 2 or 3 phone calls, someone can find out your whole life story. And so be careful when, if you are having a bad experience with a company or an individual, be careful of what you say, how you handle that, because a lot of times that stuff can bite you in the ass and it'll come back to haunt you. Like once it's on the internet, it's there forever.
Yeah, a lot of the key players here, though,
but
we check in on each other and
you
throw a name out there and red flags come up.
yeah, I mean, it's like a soap opera.
It is, unfortunately, but at the same time,
Like, oh, this shop,
Nah,
F this shop.
everybody
I don't
got
wanna-
credit history.
another
yeah,
thing,
right.
Brian said something about social media being king. To an extent, I kind of agree and disagree with that. Social media is huge right now in the market we're in, but you are starting to see companies starting to pivot away from it because it's getting the human connections being lost. The other thing is a lot of these companies also care about, like, all right, you don't have social media, but can you offer something business to business? Like, perfect example, Eat, Sleep, Race. They've been expanding their footprint as far as business to business. Now, Eat, Sleep, Race offers merchandise service to other businesses. They also offer, they have businesses that sell their product. So now it's like, hey, Eric over there he doesn't have social media, but you know what? Eric is very well connected with all these people that can sell your product or can help boost your thing. Just because he doesn't have social media is not a bad thing, but in this day and age, there definitely is a very strong emphasis on that. But likes don't always translate to dollars.
That's
and
true.
That's something that needs to
I
be.
agree.
And we can't put Eric in the corner.
No, Eric's not in the corner, but Eric knows people.
put-
Eric met Miss Universe. So,
It's a big deal.
I mean, to
Very
be
big
honest
deal.
with you, this place wouldn't be here if Eric wasn't running this stuff for us.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
And
and Eric does have social media, by the way.
yeah.
It could be better.
Eric, why don't you put ESR at the end of Hustler?
Well, never thought to.
You are ESR. Come on.
But it's
Ricky,
Eric,
I think you just sold ESR's potential services better than any of us could
I'm just
say better ourselves here.
I'm just saying that there's more to it than social media.
We appreciate the plug, Ricky.
Because I have seen companies that are starting, there are companies that, that could be something you offer them. Like, hey, listen, you don't have a very big social media presence. I can help you with that. It's good.
How about
It's
the
needed.
vice versa here of somebody who has a great following on social media and is not monetizing themselves by
There's
selling
tons of it.
merchandise?
There's
that's
tons of it.
That's where we come in, right?
Yes.
Little plug here. If you
Yeah.
got a
There
lot
goes
of,
the plug.
Yeah, here's the plug. If you
Shameless
got
plug.
a lot of followers, a lot of supporters, and you're not selling merchandise, say what's up to us right here. Send me a DM because our services here is selling merchandise for people who have the ability to sell merchandise and haven't done it in the past. So we have a lot of people approach us, and actually at PRI, a lot of people who say like, man, I want to get merchandise made. I don't know who to go to, or I have merchandise and I don't know how to sell it online. So that's where we come in now with our new fulfillment and production services here, where we could take any racer, any influencer, and make your merchandise and sell it for you online. Everything ships out of this warehouse right here. And your job is to be you. Just continue to be you, build up your fan base, keep
Keep
being
doing what you're
relevant,
doing.
Yeah.
and people will support you by buying your merch, and you don't have to know.
You don't have to do
educate
anything.
yourself. You don't have to know
You don't have
nothing
to do
about
anything.
e-commerce. We
All you
it
have to
for
do is collect a paycheck.
That's right. If you like money and you like marketing and promoting yourself,
Hit us
hit
up.
us up.
EatSleepRace.com.
Sales@eatsleeprace.com. I think we had a successful first conversation here on the Eat Sleep Race podcast. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of these, Ricky.
Thank you to Ricky, man.
Yeah, I don't doubt that you'll be back here for a future episode. We're looking forward to having a lot more of our industry friends and maybe even meeting some new people sitting in the hot seat right here.
There you go.
And no, I think
Did you just name what this is gonna?
yeah,
This
that-
is
that's
hot
the
seat?
hot
This is
seat.
always going to be the hot
That's
seat.
right.
We're gonna get a new hot seat though, nicer one,
Nicer one, a red one.
more comfortable.
Red
Nah,
one.
it's good.
I think
It's
Hugo
comfortable.
has the nicest seat out of everybody. He's got the air on.
Yeah.
So if you guys enjoyed listening to the podcast today, make sure you like, share on whatever platform you're watching this on. We're going to be posting this on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
Apple
Wherever you're
Podcasts.
watching this right now, like and share, subscribe, follow. Appreciate you guys, and we're looking forward to future episodes. Eat, Sleep, Raise podcast.